All right, so let's get started. Hi, guys. Welcome to week 3. This is going to be about scene cards. So we should have finished with story beats that we're turning in for a little bit of feedback today if you choose to. If you don't choose to, that's also okay. But if you want to get the feedback, it can be really helpful to get you unstuck if there's something that you're getting trapped on or something that you keep coming back to that you are trying to push past. It can be a good idea to at least get a glance at those. We usually have time to look at least a couple of them in the class. Let's look at our slideshow here. So Script Camp has added a bunch of new stuff recently. Check out all these different Discord servers for things like Toon Camp, which we now have a recurring class on animation for 12 weeks, I think it was, as well as brand new servers like Code Camp and Design Camp and things like this. So lots of free new classes coming, events and workshops, and some are going to be limited to members and some will be public to everybody. So Animation Lab was October 25th and is recurring on Tuesdays, I believe. And that is a class that takes you from the basics to advanced animation topics. Python Bootcamp I did not know about until right now. Nacho, can you tell us about that?
Yeah, this is a I believe it's an 8-week boot camp that you'll be completing different projects in Python. And this is intended for people who even if you've never touched, coding in your life. So you're going to go from just getting started all the way to learning how to, just like programming concepts and things and data structures, all this kind of stuff. But, using this specific language, Python, you're going to actually complete some projects. And there will also be a weekly coding lab as well. So this will be all included in your membership. If anyone's interested in coding, you can jump in.
Thanks for that. Yeah, wow, I think at this point we officially have so many events and camps and things running that one person could not possibly do them all. So I think that's a big milestone, right?
Yeah.
Yay.
Well, this one is going to be on Sundays right after the TV pilot class.
Oh, okay. There you go. So you don't have to, if you want to do TV pilot, not too late to also do Python Bootcamp. There you go. Okay. Well, yeah, plenty of stuff coming up, as you can see, with recurring groups in weekly genres like horror on Tuesdays at 6. We have animation Mondays at 6. Stand-up comedy is a new one as well that I think has not started yet, but will be starting Tuesdays at 8 in November. And then sometimes I do guest spots on the fantasy workshop, which is Sundays at 5. So, yeah, wow, this is your one-stop shop for stuff to do on Discord related to kind of like nerdy topics that you can learn over the internet. So, there you go.
Lingo Camp coming soon.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I think Lingo Camp is the best name we're going to come up with for that one. That's going to be for learning languages, which I always thought this would be a really good kind of platform for. Next, we just need to figure out how to do physical stuff like track and field, martial arts, sports, and things like that, and maybe find some way to deliver the instructor to you, or maybe like a van goes and gets you. Or are we just reinventing like a public infrastructure and schooling system or something like that, just in the digital gig age? So yeah, plenty of stuff coming up. So check out that full list there and our calendar at scriptcamp.net if you want to get more of those updates.
And then we need camp.
Camp, yeah, a camp.
How to camp?
I think I need one of those. Camp for how to run one of these. So yeah, who knows where it's going next, but we have plenty of new stuff. So if you are an unlimited member, as opposed to buying this course, buying any one specific course, you get unlimited access to all of these different things on all these different servers. We intend for this to be just one subscription. You don't have to like sign up separately for all these different fun things. So plenty more coming soon. You can also always just get coverage at scriptcamp.net/coverage if you want full notes on a script and a half-hour coaching and consultation call on it. Also, refer your friends. You can get them a free month, and you can get a free month. You can message us if you want to refer somebody. So we're in week 3. This is outlining 2, so scene cards. Next week, you're going to be starting pages if you're following along with the benchmarks of the class. So the story beats should be pretty much done. So we'd like to at least hear how those went today during the check-ins. then we're going to be expanding those and fleshing those out and filling them out into these full scene cards, which is going to be a full paragraph for every single scene, as to the best of your ability. It's okay if you miss a couple or if you come up with better ideas in the moment, but the goal is to be able to, work on your skills till you get to the point where you can write an outline and actually come up with all the scenes that you're going to write, then write all those scenes. And write outlines you can stick to, I guess I should say. From as of next week, you're going to be writing 20 to 25 pages a week, so that's like 4-ish pages a day. So I would plan appropriately. For me, it takes about 3 hours minimum to write 5 pages in a day, or 4 or 5 pages in a day. So try to at least clear those blocks of time as needed in order to do that, if you must. From week 4, we'll be going through a different section week by week in the lecture, and then once we get to that point, we'll also be sometimes reviewing activities, or also looking at sections from the scripts in class if we need to, or if you're having big problems with those sections. So we will go from Act 1 is going to be weeks 4 and 5, second act is going to be weeks 6 and 7, and then third act is going to be final week 8, with the first draft done by December 9th. If you've not yet enrolled for some reason, I think everyone here has definitely enrolled, but if you've not for some reason, you can at scriptcamp.net/classes, or get that membership at scriptcamp.net/membership. So here's the schedule for today. So we'll start with check-in. We can review some just like key recap points of structure. We don't have to go over the entire thing again because you probably are sick to death of hearing about it, but we can look at story beats if you guys have big issues with them, and we can diagnose structural issues. We can talk about scenes and maybe some little bits of scene activities, perhaps, if we get to that point. I'm going to try to keep it loose when it comes to scenes because this is one of my favorite topics to figure out new material on, because I feel there's, like, in scene work, you have some of the most opportunity because there's just not that much that I have enjoyed that I've seen written about this. I think that this is the most neglected topic in screenwriting classes, I guess I should say. So lots to do in terms of scenes. We'll talk discovery and conflict scenes. And maybe we can plan out some scenes in your outlines if you guys are wondering, how would I possibly write that scene? We can maybe break a couple sequences or something like that. We'll see. I'll play fast and loose with scenes because this is a big topic for me. But in any case, let's start with that check-in, which is going to be posting that sketchbook and story beats and assignments channel. You don't have to post either of them, but if you want to share and get feedback on those things, and then you can tell us about those recent scripts that you have been reading off the blacklist or off someplace else. And you can tell us whatever you want about it. What did you like? What did you learn? What did you dislike? Things like that. Okay, let's go down our list. We will start just at the top and go straight down. Where are we? I lost the chat channel. Okay, we'll start with Carmen. Go ahead.
Hello.
Hi.
Did you want me to put the, what do you call it?
The
The document?
If you want to share, yeah, if you want to share and get feedback.
Okay, I don't know if I want to get feedback on the stuff that's in the sketchbook.
Okay.
Even though I have been referring to it for the story more than I ever did before for the other scripts. I know that, I think I know, because I can't remember, that my beats veered off the plan. I'm coming up on page 25 in pages. So I don't know.
Okay. If you're making good progress, you don't have to share anything for feedback if you feel you're just doing fine.
I do kind of want to know if anything at all that I'm writing is funny, I think.
Okay.
I was laughing, but I mean, I don't know how somebody else is gonna feel about the material, you know.
Sure.
And then I've
Go
been,
ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, yeah, you can, if you want us to evaluate any particular section, then you can feel free to post just part of it if you want.
Okay, and now I know how to do that. how to post just like a few pages at a time because Nacho told me how to do it.
Great. Okay. Yeah, it's different on different
Um,
software, but once you know, it's easy to remember. So, okay, sounds good.
So I started reading Moonfall, and I really thought it was great. But I only got to page 2. I thought it was really great, though. Just those 2 pages was really great to me. The way they took the 2 genres and created something that probably most of us have never seen. You know,
I haven't read that
I
one yet,
haven't
but
seen
I
it.
want to soon.
Yeah, Moonfall, and I read The Ring. Um, I know I've read other things. I can't remember anything right now, so that's it, right? Just progress and then like what we read.
Yeah, that's it. We can move on. Thanks for sharing.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Carmen. We'll check with Dan.
Hello. I I did update a bit on my not that the sketchbook. I've actually sketched out the entire thing. Well, and I think I like where it's going.
Great. Okay.
As
Any
for
problems?
stuff I've read, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not sure I'll run into problems until I start writing.
All right. Well, if you can't tell, then that's the best you can do, and you got to
Because
just blaze ahead.
always the best laid plans of mice and men, or whatever the saying goes.
Go off to stray. Mm-hmm. And did you read something
Yep.
recently too?
I did. I recently read the. I've been meaning to do it. The Stranger Things Montauk screenplay, and I thought it didn't have as much punch as it did on the screen. Mainly because I was distracted by all the. There was a lot of times it was like, did they really have to make so much note of the fact that he's wearing damn Levi jeans? It's so just. I know it's a little thing, but it's distracting. At least maybe it's just a peeve of mine that they're going so much into the specifics of these little things that, I mean, they are technically filmables, but I don't know. It just felt like it was wasted space, in my opinion. It's good. It's got good writing. Also, I also read another script, and I talked about this at a previous event class called Headhunter, which was apparently a 2020's finalist, and I did not enjoy it. I thought the premise was so ridiculous. The character, the protagonist, was a little bit too much of a dramatic, over the top for the theme of the, and not even in a funny way. I get it. He wants to eat all those. He wants to eat people. Because I remember a show that did the idea of making fun of a, was an Australian show that tried to play for comedy a. I don't remember the name of it. I haven't seen the screenplay, but it was like this Australian show, crime show. Jeez, I can't remember. And they had a scene where somebody commits cannibalism, and they have to determine what kind of crime it is. And it's kind of funny. But in this case, it wasn't funny. It felt more like creeper, stalker energy. Like, dare I use the word? The main protagonist felt like an incel. I hate saying that out loud. I really, really hate using that word because it feels so buzzwordy, and I hate doing stuff like that.
I have a question for you, Dan. Did you read Headhunter all the way to the very last page?
Yeah, I don't remember it too well now because this was a while ago.
Okay.
Technically, I read this like when we were talking about it last week.
Is there a big twist, Nacho? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't read it yet. No spoilers for anyone, but Thanks for sharing, though. Glad to, it's good to at least, even if you don't end up liking them, still good to at least read the really highly rated Blacklist scripts every year, so you can see sort of the scripts that everyone's talking about, the stuff that's making the biggest deals, and the stuff that is just generating the most sort of interest in terms of writing on the market. So good that you checked that one out. And sounds like you're making good progress. Thanks for sharing. Let's check with Josh.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Go ahead, Josh.
Aloha. Alrighty. So, I have gotten some really good progress. I haven't finished my summary yet, but I am powering through. I had a kind of a writer's block. But then was just doing research on what happens when an avalanche happens, what happens when a bear attack happens, and that really kind of opened up. And I feel like I'm getting somewhere good. I'm in my summary. I'm still working. I'm at my all is lost moment in the summary, so I'm about a little past halfway in the summary. But I feel really good about where everything's building up. Just having difficulty kind of conceptualizing what could happen next. But I think I just need to. No, not yet.
Okay.
I don't know how it.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was
No,
say,
please.
Figure out a finale before you. If you're stuck on All Is Lost, skip ahead to finale, and just think of what would be an awesome thing to build to. Like, think of a big set piece. It's a survival thriller, so you can have a big set piece, can't you? Like, this is the sort of thing where you have a character that's like, they're in the helicopter that's slowly sliding off the side of the mountain, reaching for someone to help them. Like, someone needs to get them out of it, or you have like, just think of something big and cool like that. That your premise seems like it's logically kind of building towards, and takes advantage of the area that it's in, and maybe is like, I don't know, if you wanted to use the bear for the finale, maybe that would be kind of a fun. That could come back in an unexpected way. Like, there's a lot of different fun things you could do with that.
I've been thinking in that of doing that. Trying to figure out what my finale is so that I can kind of build to it.
Mm-hmm.
I have this. I like that. They're in this situation where there's been an avalanche, so like everything that they saw when they got there is no longer what they saw, so they kind of have to learn this new terrain. And I think learning that, and that coming up later, and like now they kind of, they can use what they've learned against the bear, against any other kind of forces that are against them. I haven't quite gotten there yet, but I feel really good about it. I had this idea of opening it with, this guy is a content creator, and he's a bit reckless, and opening it up with some version of him getting a viral video in some other way, some completely different scenario, like going in a cage with like great white sharks or something, something wild and crazy like that, where he puts his crew at risk, and because of that, they after that they're all like, screw you, dude, we're done, and he has to get a brand new crew. And because it's all new kind of elements in the crew, it does, there's more butting heads, and there's more, and he hires this survivalist who's a dick, and the survivalist is mauled. Pretty much is the catalyst is the survivalist is mauled. It's not the catalyst, but it happens at the catalyst moment, and they all escape. They realize that the survivalist had everything. He had the map, he had the food, he had the GPS device that locates where the drones are, that they shot the footage, so they have to go back and find his remains. So that's where I'm kind of building right now.
Sounds good.
And that, you know, yeah, so that's their break into two, is that we have to go back. We have to go out into the wilderness. There's nothing in this cabin that we found, you know, that we escaped to. So we have to go out. They go into the wilderness. I've got, you know, in my premise scene section, I've got, you know, what can happen, what fun stuff can happen in a movie like this. Bear attacks. They have to climb a giant rock face. They have to, you know, go down a ravine. You know, that they don't,
even if there weren't a bear.
exactly. And because there's been an avalanche, you know, oh, look at it, it's totally safe. We can go directly across, but no, it's, you know, they don't know what's directly underneath them at any given point, you know?
Sure. Okay.
So, and yeah, and then they find their survivalist. His bag is missing. Now they got to go find the bear cave.
Okay.
So
like
that's where
placing objectives, which is a good idea. Yeah, placing milestones, placing finish lines. That's a good way to go about it. So it sounds like it's going pretty well.
Yeah. So it's going good. I feel really good about it. I read Breathe from what year is it? I think it was 2019 Blacklist. Which was really I enjoyed it as a script. It was a little you know, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's not too distant future on Earth. There's no oxygen, and that's they're trying to figure out, you know, it's kind of like a hard sci-fi version of WALL-E. Okay. Where it's a family living on Earth with no oxygen, and they're trying to figure out a way to make Earth sustainable again. And they find like a little, you know, plant out in the what has become Earth, you know, the wasteland. And it's it only takes place in a couple of places, which I really liked. And they use the oxygen, like in a lot of space movies or, you know, no oxygen movies. They use the oxygen as like a ticking clock. Wow. Ticking clock. Yeah. I haven't had nothing to drink. Ticking clock. And they, you know, constantly changing tanks, and one person has, you know, 20 minutes left, the other person has an hour left, and having to switch tanks, and people sacrificing themselves, and it's a lot of fun. And it was a nice, you know, I like, you know, you showed us the Assassination of Jesse James script, which was really great. It really was a good lesson in brevity. But I do like a little more meat, I think, is my specific
more
style.
A
and this
story?
No, sorry. More meat on the descriptions. No, not a lot of brevity on, like, how can I describe it? On action lines.
Okay.
The action is just more descriptive. And I like that. I know it doesn't have to be short. I know it doesn't have to be, you know, super long. It has a nice kind of middle ground. And I love it when an action line has a bit of editorial in it, where it's like you know, you're following the action, and then it says like that's not a fucking good idea. Like, it literally says that, you know.
Sure.
As kind of a little, it's not something that you would necessarily see in the movie, but it tells you what feeling is happening, and that would be, you know.
Yeah.
So
direct address, or free and direct thought, or free and direct speech is what we call that.
Okay. It had, I mean, it's a movie where it's a survival movie, so I recognize the, you know, your all is lost moments, and boy, oh boy, did it have a really great pit of despair where you're just like, how do you come back from this? It had a bit of a, hey, that person probably died and now they're here all of a sudden. Where I wouldn't necessarily call it a plot hole. It was just like, I wasn't expecting that person to come back. So I don't know if, if maybe I saw it visually, if I saw it actually produced into a movie, I'd be like, that makes a little more sense. But it jumped from, well, see ya, you're dead, to, oh, they're back all of a sudden. Okay,
So,
cool.
Good. The hand of the author was just a little too apparent, I guess, is what you're sort of saying.
Yes, exactly. Or like maybe it felt a little like they wrote themselves into a corner a little bit, and they were like, we really didn't want to kill that character off because that's the main character. The main character kind of comes back after death. I think they forgot maybe their ticking clock. But I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it sounds like a good read. Thanks
it was a good read.
Go ahead.
A good read for my script too, because it's just basically a survival story. So
ticking clocks super important in survival stories, especially in wilderness survival, where there's a bunch of freebies that you get, like it's getting dark, it's getting cold, you're bleeding. These things are all just very natural ticking clocks, and thrillers live and die on ticking clocks. So definitely something to study. Thank you for sharing, Josh.
Yeah, no problem.
Let's check with Jotil.
Hi, sorry, I missed a little bit of the start of this. Sorry, what was the question?
We're just doing updates on progress and something you've read recently.
Don't have a great answer for this at the moment. Sorry. I'm getting there a little bit. Funnily enough, the group we were in just before actually highlighted a few things to me that actually were quite apparent to some of the things that I'm writing in my script that I realized were coming out as I was writing this other idea. I don't know, just listening to podcasts yesterday that really helped me reorientate the way I've been looking at my first act. So getting a little bit more understanding of what it is I'm writing about. I think the main relationship is clarifying itself to me, actually, like literally momentarily, like right now, as I'm writing a little bit, as I'm listening. Didn't do a great job of sticking to the homework, so I don't have too much progress in that regard. But in terms of what I've read, I can't actually refer to anything too much. I've found a podcast episode of Script Camp that is talking about like the breakdown of Whiplash, so I'm going to probably have a look at that once we've done this class. So that's all I've really got at the moment.
Okay, yep, podcasts are good. Great way to brush up on your skills or to review certain topics, even if you're not reading something actively. Thanks for sharing.
All right, thank you.
Nacho, do you want to share?
I read 2 great scripts last night. I read what is it called? Knock at the Cabin, and it's really good. Yeah, I was, I wasn't. I mean, I've been kind of. I'd started the novel a long time ago, and I was like kind of delaying reading the script because I wanted to read the novel first. But I said, "Oh, I'll just go ahead and read it." And yeah, it's great. Kind of a slasher, but like if Michael Haneke had made a slasher movie.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
So, similar to Funny Games in some ways. And I read Mandy, which is fantastic. I've never seen the movie, and it's extremely stylized. It's really, maybe helpful for anyone who's like, if you're writing a story that's you're trying to really convey a specific visual style, which almost seems like you're usually kind of leaving that up to, the filmmakers and the director to decide. But it's done in a way that wasn't intrusive, and it really created the feeling of watching this, visually interesting story. I mean, sometimes those kinds of scripts are a little bit, maybe a little over, like, feel like they're overindulgent or something, but yeah, this was really nicely done.
Awesome. Yeah. Do you know, is that a writer director who also, is it the same director who is the director also the person that wrote it, do you think? I wonder how that would change the...
If they are, then they're really good. Well, it's co-written by the director and a writer.
Okay.
So
who knows then? But yeah, sometimes I find that writer directors will be that a little bit more specific, or a little bit more they'll make bolder choices, I guess you would say, in the writing of their scripts if they plan to direct them themselves. I've done that sometimes too, but not first. I mean, I'm not really a director as much, but I have written certain scripts with like more kind of particular artistic considerations in mind, you'd say. I guess the only one that I've really done that with was The Tube, which has placed further in any contest than anything I've ever written. It was a nickel semi-finalist, but despite all their read requests, no one has suggested they wanted to make it. So maybe that tells you something there. I'm not quite sure what exactly, but feel free to decipher what that means. You can make those really crazy choices. It'll get people to read them, but it won't always get you, people won't always want to buy that sort of thing or actually make it. Let's talk to Paul. Are you there, Paul? Maybe not. We can come back later if he needs. Okay, we'll check back with Paul later. So, that's check-ins with everybody. So the goal for next time is to have the scene cards be completed. So I wanted to check if anyone was falling behind or needs a lot of help with story beats. Does anyone feel like they are really behind on this? Maybe not. No. Okay, great. Everyone feels like they're caught up on on the story beats, so that means that you're ready to start expanding those out into these scene cards. So let's get a reminder on what this is. So we start with logline, we go to sketchbook. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Connor. It's just that I always think, I'm like, no, I don't need any help. And then I'm just like, wait a minute, I think I do need help.
Okay.
I have the beats written down. Let me see. Here's that's the sketchbook right there.
Okay.
I think.
So, how can I help?
Yeah. Okay, so far the catalyst is the first killing which they witnessed, and he doesn't become the main character doesn't become a suspect because he was with the tour group. So he doesn't become a suspect yet. Oh gosh, I can't even communicate anything right now. I'm having a really hard time communicating anything.
Do you want to? I can check back in later if you want.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I'll check back later, or just let us know in the text if you figure out exactly how I can help out with this. I'm glad to do so. All right, let's go back to our slideshow then. Let me ask, does anyone else feel like they need extra help? Still no? Okay, let's go ahead.
Use a little
Is that Dan? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm on the right track. Let's see. I've got my point into Act 2. I'm not sure how to... there's been a little bit of changes to the way that things go, but I'm trying to make it all feel like it flows together. Like, I've got a bare bones, but the whole...
Have you turned it in? I mean, we'd be glad to look at it. I don't remember what's the movie that you're working on. Weren't you working on the space fighter pilot thing, or is that not this?
No, that's the pilot. That's the other boot camp.
Okay, cool. So go ahead and post whatever you can about this. I mean, we'd be glad to look at something.
It's pretty much a big file. It has the sketchbook and the the intro catalyst trying locks thing.
The story beats. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I don't know why the word escaped me.
Yeah, you can share whatever you want and let us know how I can help. And anyone else, of course, can also feel free if they have questions or comments, constructive criticism they'd like to contribute. Just wait until my comments are done, and then I'll just ask, does anyone else have any questions on this? And that might be helpful, but no requirement to do so. All right, so why don't you show me what's the problem here? How can I help with this?
Well, I'm wondering if it's... I got up to the midpoint. Well, I'm actually kind of been jumping all over the place trying to make it work, and I'm not sure. I think I've got it working, but I might have... namely, I'm struggling with the idea of premise scenes. These are the scenes that are like, that make the... these are the scenes that are... Are these those scenes that they're like, oh, this is the stuff that's going to get the people to come into the theater when they show them in the coming attractions?
Yeah, pretty much. That's about right, yeah.
Oh, I thought that meant this is what the story is about.
Well, those should be one and the same. So let's look at the logline, because the logline will usually suggest what the premise scenes are going to be. Is this the one I should be reading? Is this the logline here?
Oh, sorry.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep, sorry, I was on the other screen.
Okay. Is this the logline here? This is the current version?
Yep.
Okay.
I like what we came up with last time.
Okay.
I took out the bit about him learning to love Earth.
Okay.
Because I felt it was so complicated. Because we were like, what tense do we put it in? So I was like, just leave it out.
Okay. Banished to Earth after ruining another attempt at Armageddon, a jittery horseman of the apocalypse forms a team with a self-absorbed sin and an archangel to help him protect an Earth he grows to love. That's the current logline? Okay. So the answer to what you're doing in the premise scenes is right here in the middle. So he forms a team with this character and this character. So we're going to probably meet those characters, maybe in separate scenes, maybe in the same scene. And then he's going to have to convince them to join his team to accomplish his goal, right? So that's going to be whatever's in the middle of the log line. That's suggesting to us what that second act is going to be.
All right.
So if you hadn't already met those other characters, this is the perfect place to introduce them. And then, of course, your main character needs to get them onto his side, and there has to be something in it for them, right? So this can, if in a team-building kind of movie, those can be a really fun sequence of scenes, can't they? Where it's like, we have to go get the super strong guy. We have to go get the it's like the Seven Samurai kind of plot where we go from guy to guy. We have to, recruit them to our side. Sometimes one guy you have to fight him and beat him to recruit him on your side, and one guy you needs a favor done, or one guy will willingly join your side, but what's he really thinking? Like, what's he really planning? So like each character that we meet and add to the team has their own little fun scene, and then as they are added to the team, then the dynamics there can branch out into many other sort of interactions between those characters that can form some really nice moments in the premise scenes. Of course, we should also be leading. Don't forget about your character's final goal, which is what? What are we building up towards here? What is the character's final goal?
The final goal Is that like the end event, or is it what the character wants final goal?
Yeah, it's like Frodo's gonna try to throw a ring into a volcano to defeat Sauron, right? So that's kind of his final goal.
Well, his final personal goal is to grow more spine and to become less and to learn to embrace his power of fear instead of being afraid.
Okay.
But his actual goal is to that was his starting goal, but his goal is that I like this place called the Earth. I want to protect it from the embodiment of war, who is teaming up with God to create a new start.
Okay.
To reshape the... So yeah, okay, now the big guy upstairs is going crazy.
Okay, so it looks like you're not quite sure what the last...
What happened since last time is that now, I have to get into a fight with God and somehow win.
Okay. So it seems like you're not quite sure what that would look like or what that set piece even is that you're building up to.
I am not sure how the fight is going to look, but I have a feeling it's not actually going to be very battle-y.
Oh, okay. If it's not going to be very battle-y, make sure it just doesn't seem like your movie is sort of promising that. Like, this isn't really an action-adventure story, is it? Or is it?
No. It's a comedy.
It's a comedy. Okay. In that case, you have a lot of freedom to make it kind of any sort of battle you want. It could be like a game of, like pool. It could be, it should be something wacky and something kind of unexpected.
Well, the first battle, the start of the fight, the start of the show, it's like they have a real battle, but all throughout, everybody is having the most ridiculous banters.
Okay. Well, I could see that being pretty comedic, sure. So, but
it's pretty much playing around with it's pretty much punning around with it's pretty much biblical level puns.
Okay, that sounds fun. But does that answer your question as to how we can think of the premise scenes in the middle? Like, that sequence is going to be where whatever you described in the logline is what you're going to be featuring here. And if it turns out that your premise scenes are ending up being something else, then you need to either change the logline or change the focus of those scenes to reflect this as your, like, core. The second act is the movie. So, does that make sense?
I always have, like, the coming attractions for a lot of comedy movies, or at least a lot of the bad comedy movies, is they'd show the funny bits, but they'd never really tell you, ooh, what is this about? Is it just stupid comedy?
Right. Well, that's maybe an advertising issue for sure. That, I'm sure trailers have that problem sometimes. But
I can tell you every single scary movie, whatever movie, scary movie, whatever movie, epic movie, all the movies in that series, the trailers were just moments and never made me go, yeah, this story really has me hooked. Because the comedy is, but maybe that's just really bad comedy. If you could even call that, I'm sorry to insult comedy by calling it comedy.
Okay, so yeah, those are sort of parody joke movies, whereas yours is a little bit more narrative. That's fine. So you were just going to want to see...
But there is human moments. Like, you follow comedy in good episodes of The Simpsons, but there's heart as well, and that needs to be there.
Okay, so this is a sequence where we would probably want to see the trials and conflicts that go into the formation of the central relationship. So I think that in your case is going to mean if you frame the story as about the team up between these three people, then at least the main thrust of your premise scenes are going to be about the formation of that relationship and the difficulties that it presents. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So we're going to want to see how they bounce off each other. How I would never want to work with that person because they rubbed me the wrong way, but we need them because of this. Like, look at the sort of... We taught a relationship arc class early on, which is worth looking at if you want to know what the formation of a relationship plot arc looks like. It usually starts by... We have one character that's like, I could never work with that person, and then they're forced to for some reason, and then, like, there's all these beats that just start... You don't always have to follow exactly like that. But if you have this central sort of pairing and team up at the heart of your story, then that really supports this kind of plotting, where it's like, we have... think of a movie with a big team. Like, did you see Rogue One? That has, like, a great team building element to it.
I wasn't thinking of a big team, really. I was just thinking that he's got to get together with the other banished people because in their banished earthly realm state, they are the only ones who can actually. We're not under, like, I guess. I'm thinking that the ones who are banished are the ones who can actually fight back, because everybody who's in heaven and hell is like under some sort of paralysis effect that prevents them from fighting this new reset.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Not right.
And it's not
really,
a big,
but that's okay. I don't have all the backstory. I don't quite know all the details of what's.
It's
Go ahead.
kind of holy. Well, I guess it's magic, so it doesn't have to make too much sense.
It is magic. That's true. Okay. But does that sort of give you some ideas of how you'd fill out these premise scenes? That these are most likely going to be about the formation of the team and the difficulties around that, the way that they bounce off each other and cause conflict with each other?
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else I can help with on this one?
Not yet. If I think of anything, I'll be.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks for sharing. Hope that helps you out with that. And hope that helps out anyone else too that's wondering just how do I think of premise scenes? Well, look at how you pitched what your premise is. Like, go back to the log line and say, how did I actually explain the thrust of this or the crux of this? And if it's about a team up, then we're going to be watching that team up click into place and those gears start to click together, and we're going to watch, whatever obstacles come up along the way. We would like to watch those characters overcome those obstacles in creative ways that show off their skill sets and who they are as people by making interesting choices. I hope that makes sense how you want to think of those premise scenes as engaging the major machinery of your plot as you have described it.
Got it.
And thank you for sharing with that.
Thank you.
Let's move on to... Oh, wait, Carmen, did you want to try one more time, or do you want us to come back to you later? Or maybe you can just do lab tomorrow if you want.
Yeah, I'm having a really hard time talking today.
Okay, you can catch up with in lab, or you can use the chat, and we can comment on those posts if that's helpful for you. Whatever you'd like to do. No big deal. You don't have to.
Thank you.
Talk too much.
I think probably. I think just I don't know. I can't even think about the stuff in the sketchbook right now at all. Like, I don't feel motivated to look at it or anything. So I just have to, tomorrow I need to wake up really early so that I can be caught up, because I was making really, really good progress on everything as of yesterday. And then today I got set back a little bit. So, well, not really. I'm right on schedule because I knew that I was going to have a setback. So I made sure that I doubled up this week on at least 2 days because I knew I would have a setback. So I'm actually caught up.
Great. Okay. Yeah, it seems like you had a bit of a head start on a few of these, so you should be all caught up by now. Thanks for sharing, Carmen. So, if anyone else has trouble with story beats or is having just issues with their script, lab is tomorrow from 4 to 6 and is every Saturday from 4 to 6, so you can come and get some one-on-one help with whatever it is that you're working on. So let's look at scene cards today and just describe what we're doing here. So since everyone said they're good with their story beats, then the next thing to do is to expand that outline into your scene cards, which is going to be one document, one singular document. This shouldn't be a bunch of different documents, but this is like a list of your scenes, expanded out with a full paragraph explaining what happens in each one. So that's going to come with an estimate of how many pages that scene's going to take up, with the goal of being you want to actually know what's going to happen on theoretically every single page before you begin. So this is actually the really heavy lifting. This is the actual writing, and it's going to start to feel difficult for most people around this stage. I mean, maybe it started feeling difficult earlier. That's okay. It's difficult for everyone in different ways, but it feels like work is, I guess, what I'm trying to explain here. So sooner or later, you're going to have to figure out, though, what's happening in these scenes, and it's better that you don't be trying to figure that out while you're in the middle of a script. You know, it's difficult enough to keep up momentum when you know what's supposed to happen on every single page. You generally want to try to approach scripts like this, especially if you're going to try to be doing things like paid rewrites or polishes, where you're going to be forced to break down someone else's script into a re-outline that kind of snaps apart all the machinery, and you label all the parts. It's like dissecting the frog, right? Like, you're supposed to be able to cut it open and dissect it and look at all the different parts. And then, in theory, you're going to be expected to be able to communicate in terms of 3-act structure with the people that you are talking to and working with, the producers or development executives or anyone like that. So you got to learn this sooner or later. Even if you don't want to use this exact method every time, this is the method we teach in Script Camp, and a method I emphasize really heavily, which is figuring out what happens on every page of the script before you start it, with the intention of making the writing of that script easier. Many people have found that they've written their first script doing this and trying it this way, because many times before they've just started and just tried to wing it and see where it goes. So try this if you haven't, even if it seems a little restrictive or it seems like something you're not necessarily used to, or terms that you don't always think in. I find this is actually just a really helpful way to logistically just assist yourself in finishing a script. And moreover, it will just help you to see the different pieces of the plot, the different gears as they fit together in the machinery or whatever, and you'll just start to get a better understanding of story structure the more that you break these things down into their component parts, each of which serves a very specific function, which we call structure. I need water really quick. I think my cup is all out. Let me just say my last thing, which is that nothing is going to be set in stone. You're always free to come up with new and cool stuff as you go through the script. You're not going to be absolutely locked into this outline, and you have the ability to color outside the lines, and you getting better at this, you will just come to understand that leeway that you have, and you're going to be able to just use that leeway better without breaking any of the stuff around it. Ideally, you want to be writing scripts that you can stick to, that still give you a little bit of opportunity to sort of play around and find interesting ways through these moments. But the majority of the sort of improvisation you want to do, you should be doing within the structure that you know. So try not to break anything as you add new stuff and you come up with fun new stuff, as tempting as it might be sometimes. Okay, I'm going to grab a glass of water really quick, but next we're going to go into some scene card examples perhaps, and maybe we can look at scene cards if anyone, or we can look at story beats if anyone has posted them, and maybe we can practice expanding a few of them out into proper scene cards. I'll be back in just 1 second. So everyone who's not yet posted in the assignments channel, you can go ahead and do that now. You can export a PDF or share a Google Doc link, and we can take a look at story beats if you want. I'll be back in just 1 second. All right, looks like Paul has just posted the word scene cards. Were you trying to post yours, or did you have a question about them, Paul? It's so cryptic. What does it mean?
I was saying that they are greater than.
Greater than what? Is
than,
this just
than
some
everything,
millennial
man.
slang thing? Is this just something that I just don't know? Am I just ancient and I just have no idea
Yeah,
what that? Okay, it is. Thank you.
unfortunate.
You gotta warn me when that's the case. You gotta warn me I'm not missing something, or I am, but it's just an old person thing. Okay, so scene cards are greater than everything. There you go. Yeah, we're going to be talking scene cards today, and perhaps we could look at some examples, or maybe I wonder if it would be better to write a couple examples based on story beats. So maybe does anyone want to share their story beats with us to look at for now? Anyone who feels pretty good about it and doesn't mind everyone seeing?
I feel okay about mine.
Okay.
And I think I have the little links working on my on my sketchbook.
Okay,
You
great.
click on the little link thing, and it will go to the scene cards.
Okay.
Like take you there.
Sure. So the PDF that wait, no, hang on. Where did you post it?
If you go up, I couldn't find the assignments tab,
Under
but if
Feature
you
Bootcamp
go up
for
on
Friday.
in the chat on the side, there's
Okay.
the PDF right there.
Where did you post it?
In the chat,
In the classroom chat?
a little ways up.
Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't find the assignment tab.
That's okay. 1 second. So you posted. What is the title on it? Hang on. We have a PDF of what looks like the script. And then, did you post the story beats as well?
The story beats are inside the sketchbook file.
Oh, they are? Okay.
Oh, you found them? Okay.
No, I have not yet. I'm sorry. Do I have this? Where's the
Oh,
sketchbook
you
file
didn't
posted?
find them?
No, I only have the script. Sorry, go ahead. Can you just repost it to the chat, do you think?
Yeah, I can do that, definitely.
Sorry about that.
Sorry.
You're good.